New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
Hello.
Good afternoon. I'm Gil.
And I'm Robyn, and good morning and good evening, wherever you may be.
This is Rokin the Love, and we are happy to be with you this Wednesday afternoon in March. And apparently it is potentially a record-breaking day in terms of heat here in Albuquerque.
Not only in Albuquerque, but so many places in California, it's record-breaking as well.
Is it? I didn't know that.
Yeah, up in the Bay Area, it's like they have heat warnings and severe weather warnings, and they've been in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah. I remember one day when I was driving in San Francisco, and it was like 103 or something, which was like so out of character. It was a little bit crazy.
Yeah.
Wow. So here we are. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about relationship and etc. I don't know what we titled this.
You only hurt the one you love.
You only hurt the one you love. Okay, a little different than I thought, but yes, it's true. It's accurate. And so we'll be talking about that, figuring out how to bring oneself back into alignment with oneself and with others in order to move beyond those times when we might be susceptible to hurting others.
Yes, we will. But before we do that, we're going to talk about our week. How was your week? All right. And mine was good. Again, it's like they're all kind of blending together, and everything seems to be kind of center focused on his spiritual center. But other than that, I think it was good. It's like a roller coaster. It's like I go through the up to this point of overwhelm, and then it's like, woo, and throw your hands up and go, whatever, and let it happen and go and let go of things on the way down. So I feel like in some level I'm letting go of things, and then other times I feel like it's an illusion because I don't know. Someone calls to ask me to do a class, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I can do that.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, and so, yeah, it's an interesting balance, but for the most part, all is good, and it's good to see. It is nice to have the weather warming up. I mean, it's not really hot, but the sun feels so good, just that energy. Did you have something you wanted to say? How'd you?
No, I was just thinking about how it's supposed to be in the 80s today. That's pretty warm. It's not overly warm. Hello, Shay. Good to see you. Thanks for dropping in. As usual, we love to see you. And we love to see everybody. So if you are with us or thinking about being with us, please speak with us via the comment section. We have that's one of the ways we're able to keep the shows moving in the direction that supports the listeners. When we know what they're thinking, or when we hear their good ideas, or etc. So there you go. Yeah, my week was good. It sometimes feels like more than I want. I realize how much physical activity I need. I need to just do stuff I can do, even though a lot of my stuff that I need to do is not physical. But I have to do more physical stuff to keep up with the other.
Good
Because
to know.
my brain does not. My brain goes into overwhelm.
Yeah, and I think that's really important. I mean, I actually think that's a whole separate show about, taking care of yourself, because it's true. You realize how much activity you need, and everybody's different, but there's a certain amount of physicality, there's a certain amount of making sure you're eating right and putting the right things in your body to fuel it. And I was looking at some articles on that and just thinking about, I'm going to speak for us, that it goes in phases. It's like other people like seem to align with the program and then stick to it. That doesn't seem to be our pattern. And I know that's not the pattern for millions of people in the world, because, every year people sign up for a new gym membership on the first day of the year, and so, yeah, I think that's super important, at least to be conscious of what you need. So that's great.
Yeah, and I think for me too, it's beyond even physicality, but it's working with my hands. It's doing something that I can do this way that doesn't only require thinking and typing and and listening. It's interesting. It's really interesting because I love all of that, and I think I'm finding that I do have a need for balance. Maybe that's it. It's not really that there's a breaking point. It's just that I need to have balance.
Yeah.
To maintain that.
Yeah, and even if it's it's like consistent balance. It's not like work, and then you vacation, or then you get back in the habit of riding your bike, or it's like, how do you blend both? So I think that's a great show topic, actually. How do we blend our needs?
Right.
But that's not the topic for today. The topic today is you only hurt the one you love. Maybe I should have said you always hurt the one you love.
Yeah, because if you only did it, that would be different, I think, too.
There you go. You always hurt the one you love. That producer is so quick on his feet, I can't tell you. God, we're grateful for Michael Mangus. And we're grateful for being on New Thought Media Network, which you can support us doing by making a donation, because there it is, the QR code. So if you can do that, what's happening is that everything's up leveling in the world, as you probably well know, including New Thought Media and our shows. And we are giving to be on the air and making sure that, that everybody's needs can be met. So if you have the opportunity or possibility to be able to do something like that on a consistent basis, that's super helpful. I know we have users who have donated. I know John Chastain has been out there and gotten on a rotation of donating, and I'm sure there's others. And if it's not you, you know who you are, and we'd love it if you could. And my producer is chomping at the bit. I think he has something to say back there. Maybe he's just adjusting.
Maybe he's just chomping.
No, I'm just chomping.
Excellent. Okay. Well, I know how passionate you get about this giving thing, so I didn't know.
Oh no, I'm not. What do you want? No. I'm going to let you do the fundraising for right now. I'm just busy, here at New Thought Media Network, here at Central Studios. There's all kinds of stuff going on. So, yeah. So
All right.
I'm going to let you do the fundraising. Yeah. But again, if individuals can please help the show, we'd really appreciate it. Just go to the QR code. And again, just do your very best. And, whether it's $5 or 10, we're looking for, again, some committed donors. $5 to $10 a month is good to start. We're looking for people again, for this show. We're looking for 4 people to give at least $25 a month in benefit for this show. And again, the money does go into New Thought Media Network's general fund. But again, you can help us find, again, the QR code's maybe up there or up there.
That's where it is.
All right. I'm done. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Bye. Anyway, so that's the story. So we will be talking about that after our break. But for now, it's time for the good news. Share with the good news what you've got, brother man.
Well, I found an article about a lady who is a waitress, and she's an immigrant to our country, and she has served more than 270,000 meals to homeless people in Florida over the last 15 years or so.
Wow.
She started in 2012. And she started by just, buying a little bit of stuff herself and making 20, 30 meals. And then she increased it. And her family's helped. And then she eventually got other businesses to participate in donations and, created a nonprofit. And right now, she feeds around 175 to 200 people on like a daily basis.
Wow.
Yeah. So when other places were shutting down during the COVID time, she actually increased. She was serving around 600 meals then.
Wow.
Because everyone else had closed down. It's crazy, but it's a vision of this one person who decided that she could make a difference. And instead of figuring out why she couldn't do it, she just kept doing little pieces and started where she could, which was with the first 20 or 30 people she could feed. She couldn't start with 600 meals. That wasn't going to work. But she could start with where she was and figured it out. And I think that's pretty cool.
That's very cool.
It's encouraging for the rest of us who don't want to start things till we know we can do it really big.
Right, or do it the right way.
Right.
Oh, you got to watch those immigrants.
Yeah,
that's great, and that's amazing. My story is about a man named John Bradford, who's the visionary and founder of Phyto Alert. And he has a mission of wanted to create a product that was a part of a social mission where he would make it free to every pet owner in the hopes that everyone in the world would sign up. I mean, everyone in America so far anyway, that your pet and it's an extra layer of protection when your pet gets out. And the reason that this story spoke to me is because I don't know if any of you all have that, like that next door feature in your neighborhood where it tells you the news of what's going on and people put their stories up there. I can't even open it anymore because everything is about a lost or a found pet. And everything is a story about that. And I'm like, what's wrong with people? Why don't they fix their gates or whatever's happening, but it's always like their cat or their dog snuck out in, some way. And so,
and being pet owners ourselves, we know that question can be asked of everyone because we all know that our pets are smarter than us. They figure out how to get out.
Yeah. So I actually went and did this, and what you do is you go on to the site, and the pet owner creates a profile for their dog where they can register their pet and manage the information. They add emergency contacts if they want. They can add pictures. They can enhance it. But when your pet goes missing, then an alert is sent to your nearby network members, and they what they give you is they send you free dog ID thing, and it has a scan on the back that you like a QR code that you can scan, and it will put you in touch with the dog's owners or with the place. And of course it's all free, and of course there are upgrades and things you can do to get a shinier, cuter tag and all those kind of things, which that's great. Who cares? They should be making money. But I just thought it was great. I mean, that because it really seems like, I can't tell you how many times in that next door thing, like people say the same thing over and over. Contact this, do that. And while you probably should do that in addition, like how great to have this level of resource that if somebody finds your dog and they don't know, because so many are, I found a cute dog but they're sad and they're missing their home. If they're you could scan and find their home. So that's my story. So I just thought that was very cool.
Fido alert. That's fun.
Yeah,
Right.
and it also has a plate for cats too. So
Right.
it's not.
So
It's not.
what's that, meow alert or
No, it's something about.
feline alert or
I forget, but it's something clever.
Garfield come home?
All right. Okay. So I'm going to spare you all the comedy and take a break right now. And when we come back, we're going to discuss. We're going to discuss what he said earlier, and that you always hurt the ones you love, and just about how do you recalibrate, how do you get back in sync when you're off track, so to speak. So don't go away. Come right back here to New Thought Media Network.
Please help us say thank you to all of our organizational sponsors, including the Hepperlin Foundation, Affiliated New Thought Network, International New Thought Alliance, Science of Mind Archives and Library Foundation, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, Center for Spiritual Living Midtown, New Thought Philadelphia, Center for Spiritual Living United Life, Sunshine Cathedral, Planned Happiness Institute, Summit Center for Spiritual Living, One Heart Retreats, Universal Joy Center, Unity Kitchener, Unity Spiritual Center Ottawa, Om Center for Spiritual Living, Satya Center, Begin Within Ministries, Center for Spiritual Living North Jersey, Unity of Savannah, and the Center for Spiritual Living Seattle, as well as all of our individual donors. On behalf of New Thought Media Network, thank you, and please like, share, and subscribe. New Thought Media Network, come be you. Come expand your spiritual journey. Join us for Just the Talk, Sundays, 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. Mountain Time. Experience Unity Kitchener and Ottawa. Center for Spiritual Living Midtown, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, Unity of Garden Park, New Thought Philadelphia, the Sunshine Cathedral, Unity of Savannah, and the Om Center for Spiritual Living. Come unleash your spiritual potential with New Thought Media Network.
Hello, and welcome to Rokin the Love. I'm Robyn,
And I'm Gil.
and today we're talking about you always hurt the one you love. So, this is a show and a talk and a deep dive into recalibrating after a time when your relationship doesn't flow, or when you have things going on in your life that may take you out of sync with where that loving presence that you would like to be.
I think what's interesting about that is that in fact we take ourselves out, I think, with ourselves quite often.
Yeah.
I mean that's the root of, or at least that's a major part of the rest of it, because we can't even access the loving of ourselves. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it totally makes sense. I think we have to start with the fact that that there's a myth that when a relationship is good, it's good all the time.
That's a myth?
Yes, you've proven that.
I've proven it. Oh, here we go.
You picked the topic, baby. But no, there's a myth that that things can be all good all the time.
Yeah.
And that's just not true. I mean, because life happens.
Well, it's also a myth about what perfection is, and what good is, and all of that, and how do we judge it? All those things come into play. But I believe that we get we often find ourselves in a place where it doesn't feel the way we'd like it to.
Okay.
And I think that's the case for for oneself, and then moving into the next level of whoever else is around.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that the thing is, what does that mean? I mean, what does that look like, and why does this happen?
Well, I think it happens when I'm overwhelmed and overloaded and feeling. I think there's a feeling often of some level of powerlessness, because it doesn't feel like there's any way to respond to all the stimulus that's coming in. There's just not enough bandwidth or knowledge or whatever it is, which only then moves toward the place of having less patience for stuff coming in. And then, of course, whoever is safest gets the brunt of the frustration.
Yeah, I think that's definitely true. I mean, I think that there's, when we're overwhelmed or when we're feeling, emotionally backed up, like we have unspoken fears and pains and things, that it gets messy and it leaks out sideways,
Yeah, and I think too, I hold a lot of stuff in. We hold a lot of stuff in. We hold a lot of things in, thinking that it's not really safe to share them. And I think that contributes to some of this, because it feels like we can't get to the root of what we're feeling.
Mm-hmm.
We can't really go there, because it's not going to be okay, or it's not nice, or it's whatever it is. And often it may not sound nice, but that's not really the point.
Well, no, but I think you touched on the point, in that it's really about learning to recognize the signals and name what's happening. And so when you're feeling a certain emotion, overwhelmed, out of sorts, whatever, like if you can name it within you, then you can at least return to a space of connecting with your real intention rather than going into battle.
Right. Right. And I think, in some ways, well, I'm sure in many ways, we all create our own overwhelm and tension in the sense of there are things that we don't deal with along the way. And then when we get overwhelmed, it just comes out without the same kind of love and grace and compassion that we might normally communicate with, because there's a pressure that feels like one isn't in control and is trying to regain that control. I think that's technically what we're doing when we lash out.
I think
regain
many
control.
times, I think there's other things besides, I mean, yes, control, but like you said, it's control of yourself.
Mhm.
It's finding your inner space.
Yeah, because I feel out of control. This happens. So yes.
And when you feel like that, your internal system is at a place of like overwhelm and capacity, and even like a tiny thing feels like pressure. So even when you're at capacity and I'm trying to help by saying, do you want me to make that phone call or something, that brings you more stress. And then the closest person becomes the release valve place where, whatever happens, happens. Are you thinking? What?
Yeah, I'm thinking. I'm just being with it. Yeah. I mean, I think all of that is accurate, and I think it happens. And sometimes it's really hard to recognize
Is
what's
it?
going on.
But is it? See, that's where I get confused on this. I mean, I get that it may take a minute, but is it really hard to recognize because not you, the general you know when, or I know when I am at a point where something's gotta give. I know I have those moments where I'm like inside me, even just with my thoughts, before they come out of my mouth, I'm like, why are you being so mean? Or like, when I just want to say something that's mean, and it makes me think back to the days when like I was sarcastic. I wasn't mean, but I was sarcastic, and people thought it was funny, and it was really real, that place, that pain point from which sarcasm comes. So like there, I don't know. I mean, I'm asking an honest question to you because I know when I'm off. And do you, I mean,
So part of it may not be recognizing, but acknowledging it and admitting it. I mean, that may be more of the issue.
Maybe.
Because I sense sometimes, I think sometimes whether or not people know it, they're still expressing it, but if we try to talk about it, it's not okay. You can't call each other on it because it's too real. It's too whatever to go, yeah, I'm being an ass.
Maybe.
Well, don't you think that happens sometimes?
I hear what you're saying, and we're talking about personally what happens for us. But I also, for me, there's also a point before that where it didn't have to get to that point. So for me, I don't know. For me, I think you can feel the train coming, it's not like it's a surprise and you just explode. There's I think there's definite steps within me, and it's like when you don't know how to articulate what's going on for you in your body, or you know, or if you don't, even if you don't know how to articulate it, and you don't know that, this is the time when I need to step away. This is the time when I should go read a book, or I should go meditate, or take a shower, or whatever your action plan is, or steps that make you whatever recalibrate. Good
Yeah.
one. So that you don't get to that moment, because otherwise what happens is, if you can't articulate what's wrong, or if you can't do it in a gentle fashion, then it starts coming out through your tone, and through your withdrawal, or how you choose to react to something, or your shutdown, or your irritability, or whatever it is. But I mean, it'll happen in a different way, right?
So what do you do when that's happening to you?
I do a lot of breathing. Breathing is my first go-to. I mean, I really literally pause and breathe. And for me, I recalibrate relatively easy, because logically for me, I'm able to assess most of the time we'll talk about with us, okay? Or people that I know and love, I'm able to assess that something's going on, and that it's not me. And I go back to, teachings and Don Miguel Luis, and don't take it personal. I mean, that's one of my first go-tos is, it's not personal. I can't take it on, even though, and I think you've probably seen that in our relationship. We've been together 25 years. There was a point where I would be, are you mad? Are you mad at me? Do you still love me? Are you going to leave? Are you blah, 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 blah. That slippery slope of all those things. And, that was a long time ago, and I was a lot younger individual, and I, but I mean, it was a learning, because it wasn't, it was what it was. So that's what I do. I mean, I breathe, and then I'm able to look at you and know, no, this is a person that chose to be with me. They're here, even though they may be acting like an ass. They still love me, and I love them. So my job is to be present and support them and take care of myself, which is why I feel like a lot of times I can remain calm in those moments and just go, okay, I hear what you say, and I think that makes you madder. But, well, I think it does on some level, because you lash back with something else. But anyway, so that's what I do. That's the long answer.
Mm-hmm.
And what do you do?
I mostly feel like I need to escape. I have to get out of the situation and have time to just be. And so, yeah, sometimes breathing is one thing. I think the biggest frustration or difficulty for me in a situation is when I feel like there's not mutual acceptance of where we might have both gone wrong in a situation. And I think it's not always true that both people have gone wrong in a situation, but in the cases where it is, sometimes it feels like there's not an acknowledgement of that. And I don't know why that's so important, except that somehow, I don't know. I don't want to be the only one.
Well, no, I think that's a really important thing that you're saying, and because I think that speaks to our humanness, and there's a part of you, of people, in general, that there's a part where you, at least for me on that, when you're talking about that, with it, I want to be right, You're still
Mhm.
holding on to wanting to be right. And so for me, the most successful times are when I can let that go. Then it's
Mhm.
like, and that's why much of the time I acknowledge what you're feeling, and that's can be challenging without um, taking on blame for that, because the truth is that's just what you're feeling. It wasn't my intention or the goal of whatever situation. And I think that's important for people to remember is like you can't take it on.
Well, yeah, when it feels like a particular thing, it's hard to walk through the process and go, depending on the situation. There's certainly times when it makes absolute sense, but sometimes it feels like, how in the world can you say you didn't have any part in that coming out, in that being your response? I mean, that it had no meaning whatsoever beyond the words or beyond the breath or whatever it was, and 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 so I think that's where it gets hardest, is when it feels like there's no acknowledgement there. That's possible. It's just possible that there might be something else going on underneath for both people, not just one.
Sure, I think. Well, there's always something going on.
Right, but there's not always something we can talk about. If it doesn't get shared, you can't talk about it.
I'm. I don't. I'm.
If someone can't acknowledge,
Oh,
when I'm mad at you and you say something, and I'm like, that's not what I said. I didn't mean that. Whatever. Without acknowledging what's going on, or acknowledging that perhaps I had some feelings under it, then I'm not in a place to talk about it clearly. I'm not in a place to go into it,
but
and we can't do it.
okay, but that is part of the. Christine Ross, hello and welcome, says acknowledge responsibility.
Whew.
Yeah. So yes, and acknowledging from our own point of view, because the truth is, I can't tell you what's going on for you, and you can't tell me what's going on for me.
Right.
And so at some point we're going to agree, and at some point we're not going to agree. And I mean, I think I think in the heat of the moment, and that there is an energetic misalignment going on, and
Right.
and both fields are scrambled. It doesn't matter if one person is fully innocent or not. The situation can throw them off by feeling like it's happening, right? And so at that point, it becomes that we're not reacting to each other. We're reacting to our own
Internal expectation, dialogue, whatever.
fears,
Fears, feelings,
the stuff that's going on, and yeah, exactly, and whatever, and could be past, could be present, could be future. But here's the thing. So when that happens, what do we do? How do we, move from one place to another?
Well, somehow, and I think you alluded to this or talked about it earlier, didn't say the word, but there's something about trusting one another in a relationship where you can trust the other person. You have to trust that whatever's happening, whether that somehow underneath it all, love is happening. It's kind of that thing of we talk about all the time in spiritual circles, is about how we see the perfection, even though what is on the surface doesn't quite look like that. And when we can see through to each other and trust that knowingness about who that person is still true, even in the midst of whatever we're experiencing.
Yeah, I think that that's true. Absolutely. And I also think that, what we when we look at it from that metaphysical lens, that we have to think about, what's being reflected back to us, right? And what is showing up for us to heal as well. And I think in some moments are good and some moments are not so good. I mean, some moments you don't see, you can't see the good. And I think that's really important.
But that's all part of the need for recalibration. And I think probably part of that piece is not only knowing what we need for ourselves, but being open to what other people need for themselves, and opening the space for that, for them to do what they need to do to get recalibrated, to be able to come back, to be able to enter into some kind of relationship without that other layer of angst on top of it. And sometimes it's not going to dissipate unless somebody has the opportunity to physically do something, to get away, to, I don't know what, breathe, meditate, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But we're not always in a place when we're in that frustrated place to let the other person do what they need. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. And I'm just thinking, so on some level, I think that's part of the work, and I think that's part of it so we're in a romantic relationship anyway, but I mean, I think it transcends to, even if it was your boss, your coworker, your whatever, is can we assess what's really happening, what's really going on, and be the space that anchors the knowingness that something else is happening, and not taking it on in the same way, not reacting, but actually allowing the space to open up a new place of healing almost, and to really anchor and invite us into like a deeper self-awareness, a deeper knowingness. And if we can, if one can balance, then sometimes the other can balance, right? If one can anchor, the other can balance.
Yeah, what's coming to me is working with people all the time. There are times when people want to storm out. They want to they want to blame a bunch of stuff on something. They want to be angry. Not want to be. They're angry. They're frustrated. And so all this stuff comes out. And I've learned over the years that if I respond to that out of what's in my head at first, and if I were to shoot them back an email or say something to them in person, rather than letting them speak their mind and move, then we end up in a situation where there's permanent damage, or at least there's ongoing damage, versus when I can go, okay, well, when they come back, we can have a discussion, or I can, just say, sounds like there's a lot, let's talk another time, those kinds of things. And I think that's true in all situations, but in some ways it's easier to do in those situations than in romantic relationship situations. But when we can, if we're in a work situation where we respond immediately to someone's upset, then we're likely to end up with poor results. If we can give some kind of space for them to be angry and go on, then we might come to a place of working things out later.
Yeah, and I think that what you're saying is true, and it's good to look at. And this is why the title "You Always" or "The Ones You Love" is because the ones you love are the safest space. Because what I witness you doing is you have the patience of Job when you're talking to someone at your center, or when you're counseling, or when you're working with clients, whatever that is. It's like you have the ability to go beyond the circumstance.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're within that safe place, it's like that's when it explodes. So the question becomes, in any situation, but especially in romantic situations, partnership, and probably family relations, what do we do to stop the pattern? How do we make something new happen?
Well, I think in some ways, if we go back into your description, part of the issue is that I don't process, or one might not process, the things that they need to in order to truly work through whatever those situations are, even though on the outside the appearance is all is calm and well. So there's internal stuff that gets internalized and doesn't get dealt with because I'm not exercising enough, or because I don't have time to sit down and putz on my bicycle, whatever it is. Okay. And I think, so in some ways it's not only when I lash out at, for instance, you, that it's bad. It's that it's really an indicator of how well I'm taking care of the rest of it. So yes, it's likely to come out on the person we love, but the reality is it's more of an indicator of how we're handling our whole life.
Yes, I agree. And I think it's also part of the processing, because it is the one you love, you can process, and we're going to process at some point. So I think just in general, how do you stop the pattern? You pause the pattern by just, being able to acknowledge and feel in yourself that I'm overwhelmed. And if you can say that, it changes the conversation on some level. If you can acknowledge, I'm overwhelmed, this isn't about you. Then you can go forward having a discussion or a conversation. And if you can, name, even if you do this internally, but if you can name the state of what you're feeling, and instead of telling the story about it, if you could just say, I'm overwhelmed, I'm not myself today, I'm worried about work, whatever that is, whatever's going on, and and not go into the more. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, and like, we all get the bad news, the sad news, the unexpected email, the whatever it is that shows up on occasion that has a great effect on us, but we try to ignore, or we feel like we can't process it, or whatever that is. And if one can recognize that at some point, even if they've begun to lash out and go, I'm sorry, this thing happened, and I haven't been able to deal with it because it's too upsetting, it's too scary, it's too whatever it is, for me.
Yeah. So I'm just going to share. Shay's saying each time one or both of you or people in a couple are triggered, it's an invitation and an opportunity to heal the deeper issue. I don't think it's necessarily something you'd want to stop happening. No, I don't think it's something we want to stop happening at all.
Not to obliterate it completely, it's to figure out how to work with it and
Exactly.
allow it to serve us.
Yeah, it's an awareness, and we only have a couple more minutes. It's an awareness, and the point was, how do you move through it without later having shame and blame and hurt feelings and all of those things. And like, if you can lessen it by naming a few of these things in the process, and maybe naming your needs. I know it was big in our relationship, and my experience of a lot of guys are, when they get to this state, they're like, I gotta go, and they need to go. They need to be alone and process however they process. And that's one thing. But if you can you can create a system or name it, or a bridge statement that holds the space together, like Gil knowing my buttons, might create a situation like, I love you right now, and I'm struggling, and I'm worried, and I'm overwhelmed, or whatever it is. I don't want to take this out on you, and I need a moment, and I'm not upset with you because, I jump right to, he hates me, and so it's like, if you and your relationship can create that bridge moment, that at least gives the space for the other person's internal clock not to start ticking and creating, oh my God, what's happening? This is happening, because we get lost in our own drama. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it gets scary in there.
Yeah. And Shay is saying couples tapping is good, and Tony Robbins has a really good technique that you can find on Google. Thank you, Shay. Yeah, and this really isn't just about us, and we're good. We're all good. Honest. So, but it just is a conversation about, about that. And I know it happens in many relationships, and how do we repair without, that shame and that having to, come in and drag your tail or bring flowers or make a really great dinner for the other one or whatever that is. You will be cooking, right? I'm just kidding. I'm really just kidding. And I think that's part of it. Like, the technique is, if you can breathe and you can acknowledge the moment, and this is for you as much as your partner, like, really notice what's going on with you, and then come from a place of sharing what's underneath it, and then reaffirm to the connection, reaffirm who you are and that you love the person, and that, whatever that means to you, but just letting each other know that this is just a blip and a moment, and, it'll be okay. And then be able to move into what support looks like for the next time or for that time. Yeah.
I think it requires stretching on everybody's part to allow space, to figure out how to take space without totally disrupting all of those things. But the key is, none of us want to end up in some place where the anger or the overwhelm is so great that we truly hurt the other people in our lives, physically and emotionally, in very, evident ways. We don't want to be doing that.
We don't.
And, we read about it every day in the paper or on our phones. If you look at anything, there's always a story. And I'm sure that if you got dug down in all those stories, you would find a lot of people who had not processed a whole lot of feelings in their lives. You know?
Yes. 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 You're making me think about everything that's going on in the world.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to leave you with this quote. Recalibration is the art of returning to yourself so you can return to each other. So I think that that's, the whole topic of recalibration and really being able to come to yourself is the most important thing. And you got to rock the love with yourself to be able to rock it with anybody else. So that is the story for today. We appreciate you participating and throwing in your comments. We love that. And again, we appreciate if you make a donation. We love that. And we love you. So join us next week and we'll see you here. Bye. Rock the love.
Rock on, everyone.